Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's podcast. I'm Angelo Willie.
Giovanny Gomez.
Today, we're going to talk about current events and Lux chapter 10 from page 247 to page 259.
Yup.
So, my current event is LSU Ed Orgeron regrets that his cousin of Alabama got out. Said was meant to be in private. So, basically, what happened is this coach was firing up his team for the game, and he used bad words, bad language, and apparently one player was recording it and sent it to whoever friends, and it got viral. So this is basically the story, and he said he doesn't regret anything. Obviously he said some words they shouldn't do, but this is like when you talk to a family or you talk to your team, you fire them up, and obviously it's nothing personal. And he talked already to the player. So the reason why this ties into the class is just about bad words, cussing, which is unethical, probably talking some stupid words to your team. But still, he gave a good reason with it's like talking to a family, and sometimes you just talk bad about our team. Now, what do you think about your current event, Giovanny Gomez?
So, thank you, Swiss. So, I'm going to talk about Raheem Sterling, a professional soccer player, who was he's from England, and he got called up to English national team. But the day before, he played a game against Joe Gomez, who is from Liverpool. Which was the team that they played against, and he's on Manchester City. They played the night before, and they had a little altercation within the match where they started saying some tough words to each other. It only lasted about 10 to 20 seconds, but yet again, they are teammates in the national team. So, that said, it's kind of unethical, and it kind of brought to the coaching staff from the English national team, because now they have to deal with two players who are supposed to be teammates and supposed to play on Thursday, and they're still having this altercation within the national team. So they had another altercation, I think yesterday, and the coach's first action was to kind of not let them play. So they will not be playing in the next match for the English national team. That's their penalty for kind of acting that way. It's kind of messing up also the English team, the staff, the coaching staff, their plans, because they're two good players, and now you have two good players that can't put aside their club's actions and their own actions, and now we're faced with two players that can be sit out from two games. Also, one of the great things that the coach said was one of the great challenges and strengths for us is that we've been able to separate club rivalries. So of course, all these English teams and English players, they have rivalry because it's a high-end league, and they're always getting at each other on the field and off. And yet again, they've been doing such a good job lately and the past years, because the national team has been able to put that aside. So they're completely focused on just the national team and just the players and the games they have to play, and they put the club things aside except for this altercation with Sterling. And it kind of ties to this class, because now you put the coach and the staff in a difficult situation where they don't know what to, really do. They have two good players, and now they're kind of put in a place where Sterling has to sit out a game, and he's potentially a starter. And now it looks bad on, Sterling, because now they think that because he can't get it away because of the night before's match against Liverpool, it kind of makes him look bad as a player and as a person, because now it's he takes it on the next day, and he doesn't just let it go because it's just in a game action, and he can't take care of his own emotions. So that's basically how it ties it. And yeah, so stay tuned. They will be playing on Thursday. I don't know against who because it did not say, but we play on Wednesday, so that game is more exciting. Okay, so now what are we doing?
Yeah, I really like your research. I like that you're going international, that your mind is really open-minded. You obviously see it's not only unethical issues in America.
Let's get to the chapter.
Okay. So let's talk about Lux, chapter 10, page 247. We already talked on Monday about it, and now we're just going to continue about on chapter 10. Here it talks my part. It talks about the runners. It talks about how runners connect agents to players, and in today's world, everyone can be a runner. Robinson said he and his coaching staff are constantly on the lookout for agents, runners who would approach players after games and practices and offer them money. Ironically, maybe the most influential of all the runners is the college coach. It talks then about that players ask their coach everything. So when it comes to life decision, picking an agent, do you really think the player and the coach won't talk? And in the book, I think he gives a really simple answer and a really good one as well, where he's saying like, or he's basically asking a counter question where he's like, is it a coincidence that so many players at a given school happen to sign with the same agent or other agents at the same agency as their coach? Which I think is a really good point, because like there you can see the big influence of the coach to the players. And he then gave a solution where agents who represent coach should not be allowed to represent players currently on the same team. He then says that he understands players because they can't take money from an agent. That's also what they understand. But why can't they take something from an alumni or their cousin? So the real solution be to have two clear-cut legal definitions. One is agent, like a person who has been certified by the NFLPA, credentialed, vetted, and approved. And the second one is runners, recruiters, is anyone who approaches a player for the purpose of establishing a relationship for gain or connecting a player to someone for gain. So what he said, like without that clear definition and explanation, players have the excuse of not understanding, the excuse to give in to temptation, and there is the possibility of unintended consequences. What did you read?
So my part starts on getting to players, and so it basically talks about how agents and how certain players and teams get these brands, they say. So it's basically brands, and it's players like cattle. So it's basically like how you brand a cattle, you kind of like brand a player per se. So he talks about, just so you know, like there's a star on the team and every team wants to know who that is. And he puts an example of like, so since he's a star, he's constantly on TV, so you know, and then you don't know the person itself, but you do know what's an important thing when you play the game is his jersey number. So we're always talking, even for us when we play, we're always talking about, it's true, when we're always talking about how like, which jersey number like is Angie gonna have to mark, or which jersey number is the best player, because we want to know. So he basically talks between that, and we kind of can kind of say stuff on that because we have experience from it. He says that it's not just that, but it's also like if you're going throughout school and you see that like his shorts or his pants or his jacket says 22, or like it says his initials, so you know it's him, or his backpack. Mostly backpacks have like the name or something. He says it's kind of like getting to players per se. There's also the aspect of social media, which is the access is a lot harder to control, because as much as like you can try to be so private, people will still find you, or people will still get to you. For sports agents, it's like key to players' front door if you find their social media, so it's an easy way to access. It basically says like if you want to learn all about a player, just create an identity for like, they use an example like if you want to know a lot about a player, like let's say if I'm a coach and I want to know a lot about Angie, I'm gonna create like a good looking sexy girl, and I'm gonna follow him, and he's gonna follow me back, and from that on I'm gonna talk to him. And I'm gonna, message him, and from that on, I'm gonna like get to know like what he wants, or like his likes and dislikes, and like what he wants to do, and that kind of like finds like agents are kind of like seeing where they want, and like it's an easier way to approach them. It's kind of, I thought that was kind of weird, but I guess every agent has its ways. And the chances that he'll accept your friend request, and then he'll go to his Facebook page and see profile pictures and photos and numbers, and he'll contact you, and he'll see who your friends are, he'll see who to like how to go to more. So like that kind of is a different aspect of going. He then goes on and talks about changing the system, which is kind of like the term that he uses to turn the old phrase around. If it's broke, fix it. Stop patching it. Face reality and make real changes. So he basically talks about how like making real changes to the aspect of like having to fix certain things and have to fix certain things with like working with certain players like in college. How there's so many athletes that are like get in certain situations that are tough to deal with, and they have to they need like a way out. So the agent is a person that will also help them in their way out. He also talks about realistic scholarships, which is a big important thing, and I kind of found interesting that so many Division I athletes, they say they get a full scholarship, but it's not really a full scholarship because a lot of them, it says here, a lot of them average like scholarships, and they exceed for about like $2,000, like almost $3,000. Is that what they have to pay more? So it's never really a full scholarship. It's always like grants or like scholarships if you're the first person in the family to go to college. So it's all these things. So it's not really a full scholarship. And then now players are needing money to pay that off, or players are needing money to do other things. But because they're full-time students and athletes, there's no time to work. There's no time to do all these other things. So sometimes the family needs help. So basically they loan, some people loan him money like $300 or $500 or $1,500 per month to help them out in that aspect, which is basically kind of difficult because now it takes away some of that like realistic scholarship that they have. How this like people say that they have full ride. A full scholarship is a full scholarship. That's said and done. If it's gonna be a half scholarship or partial or a third, then okay, say it's a third. But if you say if it's a full scholarship, he talks about how it's realistic that it's gonna be full tuition, full like room and board, full books and whatever he needs. That's what it means. It's not just like, oh, I'm gonna pay your tuition, but your room and board is gonna have to work something or get a grant or get like a loan and you have to pay it back later. He then talks about what about the value of education. So he said you give true full rides. The athlete covers his expenses and gets a college education, right? Oh, sure, the college players' argument that the players are getting paid in the form of education is almost laughable. So that kind of brings out, like, too many players came into college uneducated and left without getting any sort of education or any sort of degree. So he's saying that, like, classes are studied to fit because so many players are, like, having practices and film study and workouts and team meetings. There's not much time. I think, like, all the athletes here kind of get a glimpse of that because we're so, like, caught up in so much stuff with the team. Of course, we're not as big as, like, let's say LSU or, like, Oregon, who have to, the football players are constantly flying, constantly playing so many games. It's a little bit different, but it's the same aspect because it is, people say school comes first, but it's still going to be kind of difficult. You can cough. I'm not going to make you. So the girl that was filming us, she needed a cough, so she's coughing. It's okay, you can cough. I'm not going to make you die.
No, my eyes started watering.
Okay, back to it. The next aspect is share the wealth, which is big-time college sports programs make a lot of money from the sale of jerseys and shorts and hats, with like the player's name on it. So he says a lot of schools like Camp Newton's number 2 moved a lot of memorability for Auburn, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Michigan, Penn State, Miami, LSU, Oklahoma, Alabama, and others make a small fortune every year literally off the backs of those players. So a lot of players that make it to the league, they get so much, per se, help from the school and from the people paying for the jerseys that they need to like kind of show that wealth, they say. It talks about how about total revenue. So it goes to like the financial aspect of it, which is basically all the sources of income for tickets and jerseys that are sold and how much they come in. Why not share the college total revenue with the players? So it's basically what we talk about, like how we talked in class, how like players are now going to start getting paid because if they get their merchandise sold because it has their name or their number or something like that, they're going to get reimbursed for that. They're going to get money for it. Not reimbursed, but they're going to get money for it. If college is the minor league in NFL, then pay the minor league players just like baseball does. So if they say college is the minor league of the NFL, then minor league baseball, they get paid. So why not pay these players because they're dedicating all their time to the sport. And then it goes to the biggest reason it won't work is the colleges won't let it work. They consider their money theirs. So as much as they want their money, they consider their money theirs. They're used to getting it. They're used to having it all their way. Unless all the colleges decide that it's just going to help out a bunch of college players and share all the college football dollars to the rest of the organizations, such as all the college teams. So now, what are we doing? Okay, she need to cough again. I wish I was like Teggy. I could like take that out.
So, group 1, my question is, do you guys think the two-solution agent, where you say like a person who's been certified by the NFLPA, and the runners recruiters, and who approaches a player for the purpose of establishing a relationship for gain or connecting a player to someone for gain, are they well defined, or do you think it's anything missing just based off what he's saying? And then group 3.
That's group 1. Then we're group number 3. You want to do it?
You can go if you
I have
want.
one. Okay, so group number 3, when they talk about the value of education, do you think, what, is this still recording?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that college players nowadays, they just tend to just focus on the sports aspect and they kind of forget the school aspect? So many players are now going, we saw like Zion Wilson already. He played 1 year and he's already in the NBA. So do you think it's kind of like it's a lot of money getting paid to that player because he did get a full scholarship? Well, I believe he kind of did. I don't know for sure, but I would assume that he got a full scholarship, and now his full scholarship is kind of like, it's done because he just made it to the league. And I don't know if he went to class at all. I don't know if he did anything like that. Do you think that the players are just getting like kind of like an easy way out? Not like here, these smaller schools, but like bigger schools like that have a big football program or basketball program.
And then group 4.
Yeah.
We've already talked on Monday, as I mentioned earlier in class. Would you ever accept money from an alumni or your cousin? Like, whenever you get like someone tries to help you, would you accept it or no? Just on a ethical issue, and what do you know about the book we've talked so far?
Is that it?
Anything else to add?
No, not really. I think now we're gonna leave. We are currently in Santa Barbara, so we hope you guys are having an awesome class. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully we make it back on Friday and Saturday, and you guys see it at Menlo Athletic Post saying that we won the tournament, and we move on to a national championship. My name is Giovanny Gomez. Thank you for watching.
My name is Angelo, and I just want to add a side note. Mom, I'm fine.
All right, thank you.